topics and opinions expressed in the following show are solely those of the hosts and their guests and not those of W4CY Radio, its employees, or affiliates. We make no recommendations or endorsements for radio show programs, services, or products mentioned on air or on our web. No liability, explicit or implied, shall be extended to W4CY Radio or its employees or affiliates. Any questions or comments should be directed to those show hosts. Thank you for choosing W4CY Radio.
Welcome to the Ask the Expert show on W4CY Radio and Talk4 TV, where we bring you educational information from top local experts in the fields of legal, health, financial, and home improvement. Now sit back and listen to experts in family law, association law, hearing loss, business brokers, home care, along with many other topics. Now here are your hosts, Steve-O and Sophia.
Good morning. Welcome to another Ask the Expert show where we bring you the top experts in the field of legal, health, financial, and home improvement. This is our 13th year of Ask the Experts, and I got to tell you, our guest for over the next 50 minutes is without a doubt my favorite. Now, I can't say that for anybody else but him. I love doing his show, and one of the things that I love about it is we do a lot of research, and when it comes to taxes, if you read a lot of the complaints out there, people who paid their money to these big companies with these big ads, it's amazing. The customer service, I'm just going to say, sucks. I have never in 13 years heard anybody say one negative thing about Taxation Solutions. And I got to tell you, when it comes to something so serious, you've got to be able to trust the person on the other end of the phone. And I got to tell you, if you have a problem, there is no way Taxation Solutions cannot help you. And if they can't, I promise you, no one else can. Let me introduce you to my favorite, Barry Fowler.
Hey, good morning, Steve-O. How are you today?
Man, I love doing the show with you. It's, your passion and your heart, and you really do want to help people.
That is true. I mean, that is, one of the reasons that we started Taxation Solutions Tax Relief was to help people. And the biggest industry that we started out helping was the trucking industry. And so out of that, we kind of created a whole niche for truckers called truckertaxtools.com, where we do taxes and bookkeeping for truckers. Now, to be honest, I had been doing bookkeeping and taxes for truckers for many years before this, but we had many of our clients that we were getting solutions to their problems, and they happen to be truckers, and they're like, hey, Barry, can you do something that can help us stay out of this trouble? And we created this company just for them, truckertaxtools.com. We do bookkeeping, we do taxes, we do tax relief for the truckers as well. And out of that, we became very associated with one of the largest trucking associations, OOIDA, Owner Operators Independent Drivers Association. And I'm really excited about it because about 7 years ago, they started doing a seminar for truckers that were coming out of being W-2 drivers to become owner operators, called Truck to Success. Now, I just got back from going there and speaking at this seminar that I've been doing probably for the last 7 years. They don't pay me anything to come out there and do it. I go out there because I need to get information out to people that are making a decision whether they want to be an owner operator or whether they want to be a W-2 company employee driver. And, some of these people that come to these seminars will, they spend good money to come to the seminar that the OOIDA Foundation puts on. And they got to make a decision. Is this right for me? Is this what I want to be doing? Do I want to be out on my own? Or do I actually want to stay a W-2 employee? And that's a really important decision. And what we bring to them helps them stay out of tax trouble, and they don't have a need for Taxation Solutions tax relief, hopefully. But we can provide them a service with truckertaxtools.com and doing their trucker bookkeeping, trucker taxes, and everything. It's a great, great deal that we get to do. And I have fun. Probably the best part is being able to sit down in the lobby at the hotel after the seminar and just shoot the breeze with the truckers and learn more about them. Let them ask questions that maybe you're afraid to ask when you're sitting there in a seminar and go, I don't want to ask this question because it's going to look stupid. Well, no, there is no stupid question because you're learning. So come down to the lobby if you're afraid to, have a drink. Let's have a chit chat. And that's what we get to do. And it's fantastic.
Barry, this is not a put down at all. Truckers, I love truckers. I've got several family members that are truckers. They're not businessmen. And when it time to doing their taxes and handling their business, they're out on the road. And I'm telling you, what you could do for a person who owns their own business is such a great help.
You know, you're absolutely right. They're on the road, and if they're making money, they're hoofing it more than they are home, which is a sad thing. They've got to do that to make money. They got to do that to pay for their truck, to make ends meet. And the last thing really they should be doing is going home and doing bookkeeping or figuring out taxes and stuff like that. When we're sitting down talking to them, we've designed our whole program around the fact that they're going to be on the road all the time. And they're not going to have time to come home and, get a financial report together or look at how their business is going. But if they use Trucker Tax Tools, we're going to give them a report every single month that they can look at to run their business, to know that they're making money, or are they losing money, or what is their cost per mile? Now, not only this, but they're self-employed. So just like any other contractor out there, anybody that's self-employed, you need a good tax professional that's going to be able to walk you through what the complications are for taxes, making your estimated tax payments, how you're going to file, what's the best way, what's the best kind of entity that you need to run your business. And this is the knowledge that not just truckers need, but really anybody that's self-employed going out there and going into business that needs that advice. So, yes, we do this for truckers, but we also, through Taxation Solutions Tax Relief, help people design their systems and put things together the right way to run their business and save money on taxes. Because, at the end of the day, it's not how much money you pay in tax, and it's not how much money you pay out, it's how much money you actually keep in your own pocket. And that's really the biggest goal we all have, is keeping more of our own money so we can afford to buy groceries with this ungodly inflation we have too.
Barry, is it hard to get these guys to keep their receipts?
Sometimes receipts are really easy to get them to keep. Other times you keep the receipts, and a month later you reach into that folder, and what does that receipt say? Nothing. They fade. We don't use regular paper anymore half the time when you're getting receipts, right? I mean,
that's true.
The heat, the sun, whatever, fades them really quick. So we try to teach them to take pictures, send us pictures, or, set up a file folder even on their computer or whatever, and take a picture and put it in the folder. If we can get you to do that, that's great, no matter what type of business you're in. But sometimes it's like leading the horse to a water. You can lead them there, but you can't make them drink.
Right.
They've got to make the choice to do it themselves. And, it's kind of like us running cattle out on a ranch. There's only so far you can make a cow actually move before you got to prod them a few times. And even then they buck and kick at you and go, I don't really want to go there, and I don't want to do it. Sometimes it's hard, but hey, that's the way life is. And we know how to work with it.
Well, I want to tell everybody Barry is he's the president and founder of Taxation Solutions Inc. He's an enrolled agent, and we're going to get to that because we get questions, people going, "What is an enrolled agent?" He's licensed to represent taxpayers before the Internal Revenue Service. Very, very important. His experience in the tax and finance industry, it spans over 30 years. I think it's even longer now, isn't it, Barry?
No, actually, now I'm reverting back years because once you hit a certain age, you start getting younger, I think. So, where we hit the 40-year mark of, doing taxes and bookkeeping, we can now go backwards. And so, yeah, we're making those years less, I hope.
Well, your expertise includes tax resolution, tax planning, and tax return preparation. And I want to tell people, yes, you will accompany somebody on an audit. We've had a couple questions like that. You've been very instrumental in helping thousands of people resolve complex tax issues with the IRS. And Barry, you have made your company that customer service is so important.
Absolutely. And the one thing you're wrong, we are not going to accompany you in an IRS audit because you're not going. That's our job. We don't want you anywhere near talking to an IRS agent. That's our job. We don't want you talking to a revenue officer. We don't want you in the audits or anything else. We step into your shoes and we handle it. I mean, I wear boots. Hey, I'm ready for whatever they're going to dish out. We're going to walk through that mud and muck regardless. And, but, our job is to protect you, the taxpayer, our client. Our job is not to help the IRS or hinder the IRS. It's to make sure that you're getting every single deduction that you should be getting that is right and allowed by law. And I mean, even if your preparer made a mistake and didn't get things deducted or didn't do things right, we're going to correct it. And we may even get your money back in the audit because we can find the things that should have been there and change them. And that's sometimes the beautiful part of us dealing with an audit is sometimes we're able to not only protect what you've got, but find the other things that you should have had and get those claimed as well. And then the IRS gets mad because they're paying you money back. But that sometimes is the beautiful thing of what we get to do in helping our clients. Now, can you imagine somebody that going through an IRS audit and find out they're going to get money back? Here's a great example. Now, be fair and honest. We lost the audit. Don't know why, because everything was 100% correct in the return we did. We actually appealed the audit to the tax court. So we went above and beyond appeals and everything else. Now, I'm not an attorney, never wanted to be an attorney, and don't charge legal fees. So I couldn't represent them in tax court, but I could represent them with the mediator. And in mediation, we sent them the tax returns, we sent them everything else. And then by the time we got done sending them all the stuff, we managed to get the tax court to refund our client an additional $150,000.
Wow.
The client was extremely happy with us and going, wow, don't know how you managed to do this. And if your return was right, how did you do it? Well, we were going through and showing it. And I think we had a little bit more smarts than the mediator from tax court. And we actually got them to identify a couple other things that we wanted in there. And that would have been stretching maybe the law just a little bit, but tax court accepted it, signed off on it. It means that tax return and the previous years are all sealed. Great, done. Client got a huge refund. Now, that doesn't happen for everybody. Of course, sometimes, miracles do happen. But a lot of times we'll come in and we'll get small refunds, but a refund is better than owing them money. Sometimes you've really had somebody prepare your returns really bad, and there's not much we're going to do to stop the audit. We just want to stop the bleeding and stop them from going to future years or more years back. So everybody's situation is different. And we've got to work within the confines of what you give us and the laws and what support you have too.
Barry, I got to tell you, I've been doing the show with you long enough to know that people will get that dreaded IRS letter in the mail and they will put it in the drawer, hoping it's going to go away. They're also looking over their shoulder. They're worried about their bank account. They're worried about worry. I mean, just one big worry. And I've learned with you, Barry, when someone, first of all, it's so important, is Barry's got kind of a saying, no judgment zone. And you don't have to worry about that with Barry. But what's so important is once you come into his office or you contact him and you sign on with him, I got to tell you, half your worries are over.
Steve, you mentioned about the letters, and the letters generally for most people end up in that circular file in the kitchen. They don't even open them. They're afraid of what's going to be in there. Yes. They're afraid what the IRS is saying. But if you don't open them, you don't know what to be afraid of. Sometimes those letters are just saying, hey, you made a mistake on the tax return and we're going to refund more money to you. Sometimes, I said sometimes and very few. But anyway, and sometimes it's, hey, correspondence off, you may have left something off your return. It's something you can fix. Other times it's your annual reminder of what you owe the IRS. And then you've got the collection notices that are out there, or the threat of levy, wage garnishments. We're going to put a lien on everything you own. Well, you don't really want it to come to that. You really want to get in front of everything as soon as possible. So open them up and read it. And then give us a call at taxationsolutions.net. Our phone number is 888-930-1016. Again, 888-930-1016. And we'll have a free consultation for you. We try to make it as simple as possible. We're going to walk you through it. We're going to tell you what we can do. Steve, what you mentioned about the big companies that are out there. Now, I'm a nationwide company, and we help people all across the country. But we are very selective in our clientele. We're looking for people that are going to call us and be honest with us. Tell us everything that's going on. Somebody that's going to actually listen to tell when we're telling you, hey, this is what can be done. If you're coming here for the pipe dream, to make everything 100% perfect, to get what somebody may have quoted you of, hey, not having to pay a dime on your tax debt, well, we're going to be honest and tell you, hey, this is what you truly qualify for. And people don't like that sometimes. They don't like the honesty of, hey, this is what the truth is. They want to live that pipe dream. Or they decide, hey, they can just do it yourself. Well, living the pipe dream sometimes just doesn't work out. You end up with somebody that can't actually deliver what they said they're going to do. And they didn't really promise it. They just said, hey, I think I can do this. Or maybe, or that's possibly. I guarantee you possibly. What kind of guarantee is that? And now you're dealing with somebody that's all they're doing is giving you the runaround. Well, we want to be the company that's going to tell you like it is, whether you like it or not, tell you what we're going to be able to do, and then follow through with it, and then stay in contact with you consistently throughout the process, letting you know where we're at. We're going to give you those hard and fast deadlines that the IRS gives us to get us information. We're going to tell you what happens or what's going to happen if you don't meet these deadlines. And some of them, hey, the reason we're in contact with you is some of them need really fast action to keep the IRS at bay. And that's what we do. You mentioned no judgment zone. We're not here to pass judgment on you, just to help you down that path to get the solution, to get you back on the straight and narrow. Don't be fooled by fresh start. Don't be fooled by, hey, we can get you, 100% reduction in your taxes. We're going to work through it. We're going to be honest with you. We're going to tell you, hey, this is what it is, because we're going to ask you all those tough and hard questions that nobody else wants to ask. And you're going to have to answer it. Otherwise, we're not going to take you on as a client, because it doesn't do us any good or you any good just to do something and not have the information to do it.
You just brought up Fresh Start. We just got a text from Rebels area, New Orleans, Louisiana, wanting to know what Fresh Start is.
Well, if you want my interpretation of it,
yes,
Fresh Start is IRS fresh money. They get your money freshly to the IRS. Now, the Fresh Start program has some really good things to it. I mean, it makes it simpler to get the installment agreement in place for you as a taxpayer. If you can afford to make the payments, fresh money to the IRS, they're going to take it regardless. It allows us to do maybe a little bit easier on some of the, not the paperwork, but the qualifications to get into an offer and compromise. But again, if you got the money to pay it, or you have the assets to pay majority of the debt, they're going to expect you to sell them. They're going to expect you to get a loan on them and expect you to get the money to them. So they also will give you an easier route to get into a non-collectible status if we can prove to the IRS that you have no wherewithal whatsoever to pay the IRS. And that's a status that can sit out there for a couple of years until your situation changes, or can stay out there until the statute of limitations run out. The other option it gives us is a partial pay installment agreement, where you pay less than what you're going to owe over the length of the statute of limitations as well. So the Fresh Start program has some good things to it. It's just a new interpretation of the laws that are out there, and lowered a little bit of the standards to qualify. But when somebody's touting Fresh Start, they make it sound like it's their program. It's the IRS program. They make it sound like, oh, this is going to be the savior of the world. Exactly. It's still what you can qualify for, and how your person that's going to work with you is going to help you qualify for the items in the Fresh Start program to actually break it down and get it to where you can lower what you're going to pay to the IRS over the statute of limitations, the time they have to collect. But hey, as we always say, you got to pick up that phone and call us at 888-930-1016. Again, 888-930-1016. Go to our website, taxationsolutions.net. Phone number's there. We have a great contact page there. If you're afraid to call, remember, it's no judgment zone. We're not passing judgment on you. Matter of fact, it may not even be your fault that you owe the IRS money. It could be the IRS is wrong. It could be somebody filed 1099 twice on you, and we've just got to fix things. It could be your preparer just really screwed up. Okay. And that's what we need to do to help put a solution in place for you.
Hey, Barry, I love asking this question. Walk us through. So I pick up the phone. Haven't filed. Let's say I haven't filed taxes in 3 years. I pick up the phone. I hire Taxation Solutions. Tell me what happens.
Well, the first thing that's going to happen is we're going to pull your full transcripts once you hire us. So I'm going to go into the IRS system, because I've got proprietary software. Hold on one second here. I got proprietary software that's going to pull transcripts and pull all the information from the IRS. I'm going to call the IRS and get additional transcripts that gives us all the collection information that the IRS has on you. So whether you owe money, taxes, we're going to get wage and income information. We're going to find out everything that is there on you for the background. Then we are going to basically get your information that you have, your W-2s, your 1099s, your K-1s, anything that you have, income reporting, all your children's information, your personal information. We're going to go through a whole checklist of items to make sure that we dot all the I's and cross all the T's for your tax returns. So if the 3 years are the 3 most current years, we're going to prepare those. We're going to e-file those, and then we're going to decide what the next step is from there. Now, let's say these were 5, 6, 7, 8 years ago. Well, we're going to look at those returns and see what the IRS has done, because the IRS may have done a substitute for a return, which means the IRS did the return already for you, which is causing now probably some back tax debt. Maybe it's a year that if we look at it, it may not need to be filed. There wasn't enough income. So we're going to tell you we don't need to do it. When we are looking at those years, and if they've done a substitute for return, we're going to do the return. And let's say the IRS screwed up and has less income than what you gave us. We're just going to stay with what the IRS did, because maybe the debt's less and we like that one better. So
Yes.
we're going to take all the options out there. Plus, if the IRS already did a SFR, substitute for return, they will already have the statute of limitations running, and maybe we're closer to the statutes running out. So we're going to be able to do different things out there based on your situation. We're going to be able to piece this together and using this as a puzzle to say, hey, this is the right way to go. Now, you may not even know that you had broker transactions. So you should be getting a 1099-B from your broker. You know, it was 2 or 3 years ago. You don't remember you sold stock or not.
Right.
And we're going to be able to find that through the wage and income information and get you to get that brokerage statement for us. We're also going to be able to look at the past tax returns and see if there were errors in those as well. One of the beautiful things about the software that we run, for the last 3 years, we can go in there and compare yours return that was actually filed to the income documents that the IRS has on file and see what the differences are and what the problem is.
How far can they go back?
Well, generally the IRS goes back 3 years. However, if you or your tax preparer, and now remember, you sign the return. So when you sign the return, it doesn't matter what your tax preparer put on there, you could be held liable for fraud. And if they do discover and say fraud, they can go back further to look at those returns as well. So you got to be aware of that. Now, we've seen return preparers get in trouble. So a lot of times I have seen returns that have a whole bunch of numbers that end in 000 as expenses. Now, that's very difficult to have every number end with 00 or 000. So that means your expense was $1,000 for advertising, let's say, $2,000 for office expenses, $4,000 for maintenance and repairs. Do you see something wrong in that? Look at your receipts. How often do your receipts end with 00?
Right.
You pay exactly $100 when you go to get office supplies. When do you go get maintenance and repairs that actually end with $100 or
Never.
$2,000 or $4,000 as an even number? Very rarely. So the IRS systems pick up on that. And now, whether you made up the number or your tax preparer made up the number, you're the one that's in trouble. And then we see that, hey, this tax preparer has been doing this consistently. The IRS sees it as well, because that person's PTIN number, our preparer number, is on there. And all of a sudden they see this as a similarity going out there that he or she would get in trouble as well. But once he gets audited for one person, all of a sudden, they see this going on, everybody that was a client of his gets audited as well.
Wow. Oh my gosh.
So you got to watch your preparers out there. Now, if they're an enrolled agent or CPA, tax attorneys, these people, want to protect our licenses. And being an enrolled agent, I'm licensed by the U.S. Department of Treasury to represent the taxpayers to the highest levels of the IRS. Well, I don't want to lose that. So I do due diligence for our clients and say, hey, if somebody comes to this, I'm going to tell them it's wrong. I can't file your return. I won't jeopardize myself or my clients by doing something so stupid for one person. Because, my due diligence on this means it's wrong. It doesn't pass the smell test, and that's sometimes for people, it's hard to understand. And sometimes even in the trucking industry, we get people that come to us and want us to file tax returns for their trucking company. And they want to bring us round numbers, and they don't work. It's not going to work for me. It shouldn't work for other people. Don't try to pass that off. You're just setting yourself up for that audit. And then not just 1 year, but could be multiple years. So you got to remember that IRS, small businesses, Schedule Cs, they pretty much think every one of us that's running a small business lies, cheats, and steals from them, not from their clients or anybody else, but from them, like it's their money. Well, the IRS thinks everything is theirs, and that's why theirs is the IRS. So spell that one out. That one's pretty cool, isn't it?
Barry, I got it. You won't admit this. I love talking about this. First of all, we love your stories. You have some of the greatest stories. But the one I really love is there's been times when Barry has known more than the agent, the IRS agent, and he had to go above their head. I'm complimenting you on your experience, but you've had times where you knew more than the agent.
Absolutely true, but I've been doing this a long time. It's hard to have somebody at the IRS with the kind of experience that I have in dealing with tax problems, doing taxes, doing bookkeeping, and the knowledge that comes with those years of experience can greatly exceed what they're going to get in training. So everybody sees now IRS has hired 80,000 or trying to hire 80,000 new agents. Some of them even have a hard time speaking English, and but we've got to deal with whatever is out there with the IRS. And since myself and my staff have experience in doing this, it's sometimes really easy to know a lot more than they do. And, that's kind of the difference between the new agents coming on and people that have been around the IRS for a long time is experience and knowledge. And you can't learn everything in one seminar or two. There's people in my industry that profess to know how to do tax resolution, but have only been doing it for a year. There's companies that profess to train people in tax resolution out there, whether they're CPAs, EAs, and say, oh, this is a great way to make a lot of money doing this. Well, they hurt the industry as well because they don't have the knowledge of those like me that are experienced. Even the inexperienced enrolled agents that we have that come work for me or CPAs, we do a lot of training, but not just training, in a classroom. We do it on the job, and they're with me, or they're with one of our other real experienced enrolled agents out there, and they're getting the guidance so that they know how to tell when the IRS agent is wrong. Or, hey, they get done talking with the IRS agent and they come to us and then we go, hey, they're completely wrong. Get on the phone and talk to somebody else. Here's what you need to do. Quote them this. This code in the Internal Revenue Manual will get you exactly what we need and how we need it to be done. And they may get on the phone. There's agents I've hung up on just because I know they know nothing, and I'm not going to get anywhere with them besides a headache. And I've got to start again. Or I just get tired of dealing with people that don't know what they're doing, and I'm going to call one of the territory managers, or I'm going to call the district manager for that region and talk to them, get their help. If I can't even get their help, I'm going to go to Taxpayer Advocate, and I'm going to get them to help me and find a way to get around this, to get the solution that you deserve, that you qualify for, and the IRS should give you. When I deal with these people, I deal out from a place of knowledge that not many in my industry will actually have. You go to the big box firms that are out there, and these guys are just preparing tax returns. They don't know anything better than what the program right in front of us is asking them. Me, I can do your taxes on paper and pencil form. I teach my people to do taxes on paper and pencil first, so that they know everything that goes behind it. I teach them how to do representation from your standpoint, protecting you, protecting our clients, you, the taxpayer, from the rigors of what the IRS wants and taking what you have to be theirs, what should be yours.
Barry, we just got a text from Ted in Boston. He said, I still don't understand what an offer and compromise is. Can you explain that?
Yeah, Ted. Offer and compromise is where the IRS is going to agree to settle your tax debt for less than what you owe. So, we've taken a client that owes about $130,000, and we will settle them for the fair amount that they can pay based on all the IRS calculations. So we've taken somebody and settled $130,000 for $1,300. Now that doesn't happen all the time. Sometimes it might be $13,000, $15,000, $30,000. It's going to be based on your situation, but they actually will accept it. Now, the IRS, when they get an offer and compromise, do a complete, and I mean complete, background check on you, your assets, everything you have. It takes about a year to a year and a half to get an offer and compromise through the IRS. Sometimes they're a little bit faster, but since we got through COVID and then dealing with these agents, and then their goal is to not settle for the most part, but they're going to look at everything. So the reason we ask for complete honesty is because if you own property and didn't tell us, the IRS is going to find it.
Right.
If you have owned multiple vehicles over the last 5 or 10 years, they're going to find them, even if you gave that vehicle to your kid. Or maybe you got rid of the vehicle and somebody didn't change the title, they're going to ask where this was. Or you did sell a vehicle within the last couple of years, they're going to ask what you did with it, how much you got for it, and what you do with the money you got for it. So maybe you traded it in, fine. We can show that. Maybe you sold it and got cash. They're going to want to know where that cash went. So the IRS is looking for dissipated assets. What should have went to them or could have gone to them, and then what did you do with it? They're going to look at your 401ks or IRAs. Did you pull money out of it? Do you have money in it? These are the things that we're always looking at to see, what do we need to do to help offset this? To qualify for that offer, you've got to actually look not just at your expenses, because, sometimes you're flat broke because of the way you spend money. And that money may be spent on maybe lots of meals out. Maybe it's spent on frivolous things. Maybe your mortgage is a lot higher because of national standards, which is where you're limited, and your mortgage is way above the national standard. You're only going to be allowed the lower amount based on national standard. And that goes for housing, utilities, food, clothing, medical. So there's only certain things that are allowed. And if you are going to go over, let's say you've got a lot of medical expenses, we've got to prove them. Not that you're incurring them, but you're actually paying them.
Right.
Okay. So incurring them isn't the same as paying them, because you may be accruing more and more debt out there on medical, but you're not paying it. So therefore it doesn't count. And they're going to look at all these things and then come back and say, hey, this is what you can owe. And that's why when we get involved, we know how to change your life situation a little bit to fall within those standards that they allow. So let's say, and remember, just because we're talking about it here doesn't mean go out there and do it. You need a tax professional to guide you through this to do it. Okay. So we took somebody that was in an old car. He was going to have to make almost $500 a month in payments to the IRS. And the offer was going to be way more than he could afford because of national standards and what they allowed. So we got him to go get a new used car with a payment, and we can deduct that payment. And the payment was high enough that it actually reduced what he could afford to pay the IRS. So we got him down to, instead of using an offer in compromise, we used a partial pay installment agreement because of statute of limitations going to run out sooner. We got him down to a $25 a month payment. Now we went from $500 a month payment to a $25 a month payment, and then the debt's going to fall off in about 5 years. And basically what happened was the IRS is now paying his car note. And he's got a new car. Instead of car repairs and trying to keep this car on the road, he's taking that money that the IRS would have required and putting it into a car that he's going to be able to own free and clear after 5 years with the total of the same payment as he was going to pay the IRS. Hey, nothing better than the IRS making your car payment, right?
Yeah, right.
Hey, it worked. And so those are some of the beautiful things we get to do. And we could do that the same thing with the offer and compromise, to where we're settling for less, partial pay installment agreements, and even possibly putting in non-collectible status. So there's a lot of variables that we have out there.
You know, Barry, I got to say this. God has blessed you with a way to communicate with people that, like this show here, and Barry has his own show too. Barry, what day is your show on?
We are bright and early Monday morning, 10 a.m. Eastern time, right here on W4CY radio. And you can go to taxtalk4u.com and subscribe and get updates on the podcast. We also carry it on our Facebook page at Taxation Solutions Tax Relief and Trucker Tax Tools Facebook pages as well. And of course, all the podcast hosting sites, out there.
There's 60
Spotify,
of them.
iHeart.
Yes.
I know they told me, all of them were on. And I'm like, hey, I only can remember Spotify, iHeart, Odyssey, and then there's 57 more, you say.
You and me
you should
both.
be able to find us anywhere if you put in Tax Talk for You. But better yet, just go to taxtalk4u.com, subscribe there, and you'll stay up to date with us. And you'll get notified that, hey, we're on the radio, right there, Mondays, 10 a.m. Eastern time. And then, hey, find us. We're even on YouTube. So, you can join us there as well.
But Barry, you are so blessed the way you can explain something so important. What would you say is the difference between tax solutions? How is it different from other tax companies?
Well, it's kind of like my mom and dad always taught me: service, 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 service. And that's what we try to be to our clients is to give them service. Sometimes the service we give them and communication that we give to them is to a point where they call us and say, stop. But we want to stay in communication. Now, at a minimum, every 30 days, we're going to be in touch. I mean, if we're doing offering compromise, that offering compromise may sit out there for 6 months and the IRS isn't going to touch it. They may notify us it got assigned to offer unit and an officer there to review it. And we let you know that. Every 30 days, we call you and say, hey, that offer is still sitting there. We're just pending, waiting on the IRS. But one of the reasons we do that is we want to be in communication with you. Then if we're dealing with an offer, all of a sudden that offer guy is looking at the offer and they now need a whole bunch of information. Well, they give us a short opportunity to get that information to them, maybe a week, maybe 2 weeks. So we got to stay in contact and get the information as quick as possible so we can keep this thing moving. The same way if we're working on installment agreement or partial pay installment agreement or non-collectible status, all of a sudden they need information. Well, we got to know we're going to be in contact with you. We need you to stay in touch with us. We want you to know what's going on. And then if you do get letters to the IRS, we get the same ones, but we tell you to send them to us so that you might get them before us, or we might get them before you, and we let you know it's there. And we let you know what we're doing. Do we have a hold on your account for 30 days, 60 days, 90 days, 180 days? This is information you need. And so communication is very important, giving you that service that you need. And, one thing we ask, is, hey, call us. If you are the right fit and this is what you're looking for, the only way that I know is if you pick up the phone and give us a call at Taxation Solutions Tax Relief, 888-930-1016. Again, 888-930-1016. And you can find it right on the web at taxationsolutions.net. Now, if you're a trucker, call that same phone number. We'll get you over to the Trucker Tax Tools. If you're a trucker, you can even get to the link to Trucker Tax Tools at taxationsolutions.net. We're here to be a service. If you're in the trucking industry, of course, but if you run a small business, give us a call. We're going to find a way to help you. Our name is we have a solution for you. Whether it's bookkeeping, taxes, tax relief, audit relief, IRS debt relief, we're here with a solution for you. But you got to pick up the phone and give us a call. It's a free consultation, free call, free. Just call us. Let us get started.
Barry, real quickly, we got somebody in the chat line. Does the IRS outsource to other countries? Why would they trust our personal information to people in other countries?
Well, the IRS outsources to 2 collection firms, and I never deal with them. To be honest, I immediately send a request to the collection company and the IRS to get that file sent straight back. Where those collection companies are, I really don't know. But it gives a very bad taste when you're talking to a collection company and they do sound like they're from another country.
Yes.
And, sometimes you call the IRS and you get the same kind of thing anyway. They're not supposed to be, I believe it's all supposed to be here in the U.S. That's a kind of a question for your congressman if the IRS is actually outsourcing. I think they're hiring everybody here in the U.S., but those collection companies, you just don't know. So we always request it to come back. I don't deal with a collection company whatsoever. I'm going to deal with the IRS.
Barry, we come to the end of the show. Tell people again how they can reach you.
Well, first off, our time goes so fast.
I know.
These things. So, the best way is just reach out and pick up that phone and call us at 888-930-1016. Again, 888-930-1016. Free phone call, free consultation, no judgment zone. So, hey, don't worry about any of that there. Then also go to taxationsolutions.net. There is a contact form. So if you don't want to pick up the phone and you just want to get some information from us, fill out that contact form or set a time with us to call you, because maybe right now it's not convenient. Maybe you need to call at lunchtime. Maybe you need to call after work. I've got people standing by that will take those phone calls or call you at the time you want to work through your situation. Now, we're not right for everybody, and I'm the first to tell you that. You've got to make your decision on which route you want to go. We're going to tell you like it is. We're not going to just shoot from the hip and say, hey, this is what we think. we're going to actually go through questions and analyze what you're going to need. We're going to pull transcripts. We're going to do all the things that we need to do our due diligence to help you and get you the best solution to your tax problem, best solution to your accounting, your bookkeeping, your tax needs. What do you need to help you either resolve an IRS issue, resolve an IRS audit, or keep you in the knowledgeable status to keep running your business as a contractor or self-employed? Let us put the solution in place. Let us help you somewhere down the road. And again, it's 888-930-1016. Hey, Steve, as always, man, I enjoy doing this with you. I have enjoyed this. I think we started maybe 13 years ago with you.
Yeah.
Right there in, Florida, and coming out there and doing a video with you before we could do all this fun stuff on W4CY radio. And, we've always enjoyed it. Even when my wife and I came out there, we enjoyed our trip down there and
absolutely
with you guys. And
you're good people, Barry. You really are. You're good. And what you do for people, I would be pinching myself every morning because I know that, gosh, what a load off someone's back you can take. It's amazing.
Well, you can see, I've lost a lot of hair doing this, You
and me both go to the same barber. But Barry's with us twice a month, and you'll be back again with us next month. We always promoted a week out that Barry's coming on the show, and it's really, if you've got a friend or a family member who's having a tax problem, doesn't matter what city they're in, what state they're in, Barry can help them.
We help people all across the country.
We just got a call from Boston today. That's it.
Hey, we have people in Hawaii. We've had people in Alaska, Washington, up in Maine, down in Florida. All corners, every state we have clients in. But it starts with that phone call at 888-930-1016. It would be our pleasure to talk to you, give you that free consultation. But it starts with you. Yeah, you call us and talk to us. And remember, we're not passing any judgment on you whatsoever.
Barry Fowler, Taxation Solutions. We'll see you again next month, bro.
Hey, I appreciate it. Hey, have a great week.
You too, buddy. That's Barry Fowler. I totally endorse him. I don't do that for all of our shows. What he does for people who've got tax problems is amazing. That's it for us today. We'll be back again with you next week with more Ask the Experts. Thank you, Rebels.
Thanks for tuning in today to the Ask the Expert show on W4CY Radio and Talk4 TV. Tune in next week and every week to hear more from our experts on personal injury, insurance, air condition repairs, estate planning, Medicare, and many other topics in the areas of legal, health, financial, and home improvement. See you next week.